Hello, hello. We're back. Chaos Child tonight. I'm Kels. I'm going to be your guide and voice way too many characters, all badly, but you know what? You're still here probably for the story. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump in with our recap. So Trophy Wife saw a bunch of sumo masked shoppers at a supermarket. Hina took us from Rika, and we deluded ourselves about her getting off on our voice as we read her yaoi, leading to our voice acting career in gay porn. We asked her why she was at the crime scene, and she repeated what she told the detective about being the victim's friend, then asked us to help with pamphlets and to ask how Watabe's got his picture. Shinjo and Mio talked about a guy's son leaving his room and stabbing someone claiming to be a messiah, believing he was copying the sumo sticker crimes. They determined the different pictures of the sumo stickers weren't doctored. We found Hina's wish for the truth to be found. The filming for the class cafe went wrong, and Tanaka got everyone talking about our interview with Wataya and fight with Kawahara. Nono recovered a little from the stabbing, gave us food, and asked about our day. She wants us to stop investigating and just come home, but we sent her back when she collapsed. Kawahara gave us coffee, apologized for the punch, and revealed that he and Nono were friends with an earthquake victim. The club slept at school and we had a nightmare about Ito molesting us. Yeah, I definitely regret that one. Someone used our missing phone to call us with the knock from the Love Hotel. At the festival, Watabe showed up and barfed up sumo stickers after thinking about how much better he is than our club and hearing the knock. Mio showed up to examine the body and the cops questioned us. We're sus of Shinjo's presence and Hina's involvement with him. Mio seems to particularly hate us. Serika overheard them talk about psychics before they took us to the station. The autopsy found lots of stickers. Yeah, they were like in his stomach. So the killer didn't just somehow make him swallow them. Like, he's just like full to bursting apparently. We speculated that Watabe used psychic photography. From there, we hypothesized that all of the victims had psychic powers. When Nono tried to talk us out of looking any further, first we had a positive delusion about a thankfully consensual bath time skinship with her, and then a horrifying fantasy of a girl knifing the whole family to replace her. Yeah, we didn't get to choose that one, and let me just say I wasn't really into that. But we gotta go find our phone, because it's got our picture of our family when we're all happy, so let's do it. All right. October 10th, 2015. Saturday. I don't know why I can't read all of a sudden. All right. Kurusu stared silently at the closed door. Her heart was filled with regret. She should have tried harder to stop him. She should have ignored the wound in her stomach and clung to him harder. Fortunately, the wound didn't seem to have opened. In that instant, her father Sakuma's words had come back to her. If you push yourself too hard and that wound opens again, it might leave a scar. His words had stopped her, and Takeru Miyashiro had left. In the end, maybe she only cared about herself. It was true that she didn't want to lose her family, but no. Don't go near that hospital. No, like none of this is your fault, girl, I think. I don't really know. There's something you know and I don't know what you know and it's stressing me out a little bit. Yeah, 'tis but a flesh wound. She picked up the smartphone that had fallen to the floor when she'd stumbled out of bed. She opened the screen with trembling hands. On the screen was... Okay, I don't know who Senni Minamizawa is, but I have a feeling we're gonna find out. Sorry I'm late. Ito saw us from across the street and ran over. Sorry. No, just your voice. Oh, sorry. Ito quickly lowered his voice. I'm sorry for dragging you out here at this hour. No, we're friends, right? And if I let you go alone and something happened, the Empress would kill me. When I heard the word Empress, I remembered how desperately Kurusu had tried to stop me. I shook my head a little to drive the image out of my mind. After I'd left yesterday, I'd gone straight to AH Tokyo General Hospital. This time, I wouldn't be able to just blunder in like I had when I'd snuck into the psych ward. Yeah, your voice. It's kind of sexy. Almost like you could read yaoi. New positive delusion. I'd spent a whole night looking at the locations of the ER entrance and emergency exits, as well as the security system. Oh my god, we're gonna break into a hospital. I love this. And then I'd spent today pretending to be a patient while I scouted the inside, and in the evening headed to Serika's house. I wanted to do it alone, but I realized that it would be too dangerous. I needed a partner who could contact Shinjo immediately if something happened, and the only two people I could ask were Serika and Ito. I hope we can get it back. I don't know if they've got anything to do with the killer, but we can't let them keep it. Yeah, we got that weird message too. Don't make me remember. It still scares me. I'd canceled my phone contract immediately, but somehow it had called Ito. That had scared the hell out of me. And unlike older cell phones, a smartphone was filled with personal information. There was no way I could just let them keep it. And it's got something important on it, too. What does? It's not good to lie, I think. And you should try to make Non happy since she's hurt. Well, that's just like you, though. Sorry. Okay, let's go. According to the data you gathered, it's about time for the guards to change shifts. Yeah. We nodded to each other and jogged along the wall surrounding Tokyo General Hospital. So far, so good. Actually, this is better than I expected. Ito was right. Getting into the hospital had proved easier than planned. A big part of it was that I'd memorized my way in, but the biggest advantage we had was that the rear staff entrance was unlocked for some reason. If that had been locked, we would have had to go through the ER entrance. That would mean we'd probably be caught by the staff. But just as I was starting to worry, Serika turned the doorknob and told me that it was unlocked. The door was unlocked again. Just like before, huh? I suddenly remembered what had happened when I'd first snuck into the psych ward and almost stopped for a second to think. I wonder if, like, maybe Serika's got the power to unlock doors? I don't know. There's something odd about Serika, too. Like, we know that she's been experimented on, so... Or at least I assume that was experimentation from the flashbacks we've gotten. But then I drove the idea from my mind. I needed to focus on getting the phone right now. It was nighttime at the hospital, and this wasn't a ward where patients were kept. The lobby was pitch dark. Sometimes I could hear a strange, unpleasant sound, like two pieces of metal touching. We dropped down low and tried to move quietly. Someone could spot us at any moment. It was the middle of autumn, and I could still feel cold sweat running down my back. The question is where the phone really is, right? Yeah. That girl was definitely the one who picked it up, which meant that finding her would be the fastest way, but I had no way of knowing where she was. But that doesn't mean we can search the whole hospital from top to bottom. Where were we when we ran into her last time? I retraced our steps on that day. First, we'd hidden in the bathroom, and then we went to the psych ward. That's where we'd seen the sumo stickers drawn on the walls in blood. Does that mean we need to head there first? No, I don't think we need to go that far. And... I didn't want to go back there. When we escaped from the hospital ward, we used the emergency stairs. We went all the way to the bottom, which is where I dropped my phone and she picked it up. Which means we need to go to the emergency stairs? Which ones? Oh, I was in such a hurry to get out of there that I don't really remember. Yeah, I mean, a hospital is a really iffy place to commit a crime, mostly because hospitals in general are supposed to be good, but also, like, this one's got some weird people in it, so maybe not. Yeah, why don't we just call your phone? I hadn't been able to remember when I'd been scouting the place out this afternoon either. I think it's that one, maybe. Serika started to move forward, looking around as she walked. Do you remember? No, it's just a hunch, but Sedika walked forward hesitantly. We followed. Here? Maybe not. No, it might have been. There was a steel door to the emergency stairs in front of us. I turned the knob and softly pushed it. It was a little heavy, but it opened without catching on anything. This one wasn't locked either, evidently. The emergency stairs stretched up and down, illuminated by the cold fluorescent lights. As I stared at them, I realized that I remembered coming down these stairs. Well? Yeah, this is probably the place. You're amazing, Onwe. I got a compliment. Sedika grinned. Yeah. My psychic power is to track whatever I want to find. It also works as a gaydar. I mean, like, just kind of pointing out, like, Sedika, I'm trying to remember a time when Sedika hasn't been able to go somewhere that she wanted to go. Like, when we broke into the Love Hotel, she just strolled in. And then the door opened in the Love Hotel, like the door unlocked. And now this door is unlocked again. And she seems to remember where we went after that door unlocked. So, like, I don't know, maybe I'm onto something. I don't know. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Yeah, her psychic power is just one of those cards that says I do what I want. We carefully walked down the dimly lit staircase. I started to get more and more nervous. Even if I'd done my homework before I'd come here, wasn't this even easier than last time? Maybe we're being led into a trap. Maybe something terrible is waiting up ahead to swallow us. I tried to shake my head and drive the thoughts out of my mind. I wonder if she's out walking somewhere again tonight. I'm not sure. What was she doing with an old woman in a dark hallway at that hour anyway? Where did she come from, and where did she go? Also, if I did run into her again, what should I do? Ideally, I'd get my phone back without causing too much of a fuss, but I couldn't imagine things would be that easy. For now, I'd thought of an escape route, but it still might be dangerous. Hey, Taka, look at that! We'd reached the end of the staircase. There was a cold steel door in front of us. There were no further stairs to go down. Past this door should be the hallway where I dropped my phone. I've come this far already. I told myself that there was no time for second thoughts and nodded at Serika and Ito. Then I put my hand on the cold doorknob. Fortunately, it wasn't locked either. I looked down the hallway as I listened to the loud creaking of the hinges. There's no one here, huh? Yeah. Serika and Ito both looked a little relieved. There was no one in the hallway at all. We slipped past the open doorway and proceeded down the hallway, being careful not to make any noise. Maybe it was my imagination, but the air seemed more stale here than it did upstairs. Identical doors stretched out on either side, and there was no way to know what was in each room. The letters on the plates were too small to read in the dim light unless you squinted. I got close to one to try and read it when... Hey, someone's coming! Serika and I jumped at Ito's words. I listened carefully, and sure enough, from behind I heard... Very slow footsteps. And not just one pair. They were slow, as if only taking one step at a time. I knew those footsteps. Those footsteps were... It's them. We need to hide somewhere. But where? The door to the emergency exit went the same way the footsteps were coming from. There was no time to get back there now. This door's open. I slipped inside the door directly next to us. Just before I did, though, I saw the horrible words written on the plate next to the door. Uh-oh. What is this place? A locker room? Oh, girl, no. The walls were covered in steel cabinets. They were just big enough for someone to lie down in. This place was... Oh, I know. Maybe we can hide inside these. Oh, let's not. Sedika put her hands on one of the cabinet doors. Hey, wait! The words on the plate had read, autopsy room, which meant that what was inside was... No, oh no, that's... Huh? I closed my eyes, imagining what I was about to see inside. What's wrong, Taka? Huh? I opened my eyes when she spoke and saw there was nothing inside. This is a strange locker, huh? Oh no, this isn't a locker, it's... I whispered to her and she went pale. Ito must have figured it out too, because so did he. No way am I hiding in here. Let's find someplace else. Yeah. The footsteps were still approaching from down the hallway, and for some reason it felt like they were coming towards this room. You're kidding me. Why would they be coming to the autopsy room? This wasn't a place that anyone would ordinarily choose to visit. Ito was panicking too. Miyashiro, what do we do? They're coming this way. I listened carefully again. There was no doubt. The footsteps were definitely coming this way. But I didn't see any place in the room we could hide. Except one. Damn it. Come on, we have to hide in here. Alright, let's get comfy. Setika was shaking a little, but she put her hand on one of the cabinet doors. You idiot, not there. We can hide somewhere else. Where else? I looked around and didn't see any other place in the room where 3 of us could hide. Yeah, well, at least if we get trapped in here for a while, we'll have food. We need to hurry before they get here. I didn't have a choice. I had to do it. If the lamp on the cabinet was green, did that mean it was empty? Or did it mean the opposite? I felt all the hairs on my neck stand on end, but still managed to open a door. Thankfully, there was nothing inside. Setika was normally a ditz, but at times like this, she was really courageous. Her whole body was shaking, but she managed to jump in first. Taka, there's room for one more in here. Huh? I'm scared to be on my own, please. She grabbed my hand from inside. She was right. Since Setika was so small, there was room for another person in here. Ito, sorry, but 3 people can't fit in here. You take the next one. What? I can't let Onoe be by herself. I don't want to be alone in a place like this either. Sorry, Ito. And then the footsteps outside stopped. Just as I expected, they stopped right outside this door. I felt a terror like someone was pointing a cold knife at my back. Wait a moment, please. I'll open the door. I heard a voice outside. There's no time, just get in, Ito. Huh? No, wait, don't! I ignored Ito and yanked to open the door next to mine. And then I pushed him in head first. Just hurry! Ito held his hands over his mouth to desperately stifle a scream. As soon as he was all the way inside, I shut the door. Yeah, just snuggle up to the corpse, you'll be fine. It would be really bad if it was closed all the way, so I left him a little gap. And then I crouched inside and slid next to Setika. Okay, I'm shutting it. Okay. I brought the door close, leaving just enough of a gap that it couldn't be seen from the outside. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about the fact that corpses generally don't need to breathe. The inside of the cabinet was hard and cold. It made sense, since no one who was in here would ever complain. Since I was pushed up against Setika, the parts of my body that were touching hers felt strangely warm. But we didn't have time to enjoy each other's warmth. Yeah, not really the time, man. I looked outside, holding my breath to make as little noise as possible. Just a moment later, they came inside. There were 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, no time for a delusion. I was sure it would be all old people, but some of them were middle-aged or young men. If it was just old people, I was planning on stealing it by force if I had to, but that was impossible now. But what were they doing in a place like this? And then I started to wonder again. A sudden, horrible fantasy made my whole body shiver. No, we're gonna have a delusion, just not one we can control. Were they already dead? And this was where they slept? That was impossible. This wasn't a horror movie or something, right? I tried to tell myself I was being silly, but I could tell I was shaking. Sedika was probably no different. She was clinging to me like a little child. Yeah, fuck the elderly. I'm scared. I'm scared. And then I remembered. This was a lot like what had happened before, when the two of us had seen that terrifying sight as children. At some point, I'd started holding her back. It's okay. I'm here. It'll be just fine. I squinted into the darkness. I could see several shadows moving about. The strange men and... One of them was clearly different than the others. That small girl. Yeah, this can't be a horror movie. I'm very clearly a harem protagonist. I had the body swap and the yaoi and everything. You don't do that in horror. Not part of the trope. It's her. She slowly walked across the room straight toward where we were hiding. Did she find us? My heart started to pound faster, but it seemed that wasn't the case. The men followed her across my field of vision and stopped in a corner in front of an empty wall. Huh? What are they doing? She opened what looked like a small breaker box on the wall. You know, those things with a yellow warning sign and black or red text that reads danger high voltage? And then she took something out of her pocket and slid it inside the box. There was a loud noise on the other side of the wall. Huh? The girl shut the door to the breaker box, then put her hand on the wall and slid it to the side. Hidden wall in the hospital? What the fuck? The wall opened easily as if it was weightless. It must have been some kind of sliding door. Yeah, the Batcave. She led the men inside and vanished. Now you will all fight to the death to become Batman. The wall closed and the dissection room was quiet again. A secret door? That was scary, huh? Yeah, we're okay now. I waited for a while to make sure she wasn't coming back, then finally opened the cabinet door. Sedika and I crawled out. I took a deep breath of air into my lungs. This place is like some kind of secret base. Yeah. Why would they build a huge mechanism like this? Yeah, secret door, secret door. What was going on at that hospital? And what was on the other side of that wall? Hey, Ito, it's safe to come out. I knocked softly on the door of Ito's cabinet. Ah! Huh? Sing? Ito leapt out of the cabinet. His face was pale and his hand was over his mouth. Shh, be quiet. He crouched down to the ground and trying his best not to scream. It was only then that I realized that the cabinet I'd stuffed Ito in was already occupied. No! Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I could see that the lamp above the door was red. I hadn't had time to check, but still, that was a horrible thing to do to someone. Oh, buddy. See, are you okay? Sorry, it was an emergency. If it wasn't an emergency, you'd be dead by now, asshole. Really, I'm sorry. Forget it. Let's go, come on. Ito staggered to his feet. Oh, buddy. Oh. But then he collapsed to the floor. Yeah, he's gonna need a minute. Or 5. If he ever talks to us again, I will be surprised, but that's okay. I waited for him to calm down and then opened the door to the breaker box like the girl had done. A secret door? Yeah. I looked deep inside the box. There was an RFID scanner like the ones they used at train turnstiles inside. We can't open this without the card. That wasn't good. What should we do now? I hadn't anticipated this. But then Sedika, who had been fiddling around with different parts of the wall, let out a small cry. What is it? It doesn't look like this was shut right. It's another door that she's mysteriously able to open. What? Siddika pointed to her feet. The wall was set to slide on rails on the floor, but some kind of cloth had gotten stuck and jammed them, so the door wasn't shut all the way. Ito, help me. Okay. Gotcha. The two of us yanked the door to the side. Yeah, you. I'm sorry, okay? You can molest me later as payback, but we gotta investigate. You'll let me do what? We heard a loud clunk like something was unlocking, and then the door started to slide open. One of the men had dropped a handkerchief or something onto the rails. When Siddika pulled it off, the door began to move more freely. Oh. All that was left was to slide the door open, and beyond it was more stairs. I could see stairs going down. There was a sub basement below the hospital basement. The place was protected by very elaborate camouflage. This place seems pretty dangerous. What do we do, Taka? We've come this far. I'm going down. To be honest, I was terrified at what I might find down there. But this was something I had to do no matter what. For just a moment, I thought of Kurisu. Takaru, please, stop this. Don't do anything else. Onoe, Ito, you guys can stay here. Hell no. Ito looked at the cabinets on the wall and moaned a little. Yeah, he's not. I'm going too. I have to protect you if you need it. You mean I need to protect you? Which one of us was shaking back there? I was not. We all looked at each other and nodded a little, then began to descend the staircase. Ito is out of our league and he should know it. Um, as we went down, it got darker and the air got heavier and more humid. Onoe, you okay? Yeah. And after we'd gone down for a few minutes, we ran into a door. We'd probably gone down about a floor. I turned the knob and it opened easily. Maybe it hadn't been locked to begin with. What is this place? It was a dimly lit, musty smelling hallway. It was clear that the place hadn't been abandoned, and there wasn't a layer of dust everywhere. It even felt like it had been cleaned. But it felt so old. There was a sense of desolation, as if no one had wanted to use this place for anything for a very long time. Had it been like this since the hospital above us was built? And this air, I knew it. The sides of my head started to hurt as the horrible memories came back. Hey, Taka, is this? Yeah. Siddika seemed to remember too. That's right. This was the place. I didn't know how we'd done it, but when we were kids, the two of us had snuck in here into the basement of AH Tokyo General Hospital. We were trying to investigate an urban legend about Amy, and then Serika and we'd seen it. I'd tried to avoid thinking about it as much as I possibly could, but I'd failed. The memory would come back to me, then fade, and then come back again. As I'd grown up, I'd even tried to convince myself that I'd never seen anything at all. But I'd failed at that too. It was unreal, like something out of a nightmare, but something in my heart told me that it was real. And it was real after all. He... Yes, it was real. I was sure of it. Help me. Taka, let's go. I don't like this place. Let's go. Huh? What's gotten into you two? Ito realized that there was something wrong with Serika and I and tried to pull us back up the stairs. But we couldn't do that. Uh-oh. There were suddenly footsteps behind us. Huh? I could hear what sounded like the panting of a beast behind me. I could feel its warm, stinking breath on my neck. Something's there. I couldn't turn around. I wanted to fall to the ground in terror. But if I did that, I knew that somehow the thing behind me would attack. Taka? Suddenly I heard Sirika's thin, frail voice. She should have been right next to me, but for some reason I couldn't see her. Onoe? Help me? And then her voice cut off. And then there was the sound of something being crushed. No! No, Onoe! Oh! Oh no! I don't like that! And then the sound of what sounded like someone kneading a ball of meat. And mixed with it was the sound of snapping bones. Serika? Uh, uh. Ito turned around and suddenly froze with terror. Please tell me that this is one of our delusions. Miyashiro, what is that? What the hell is that? No, you idiot, don't look. If you look, it'll kill you. So don't look. Oh, a bloody piece of meat fell to the ground at our feet. It was what used to be Serika. Ah! Ito screamed. I couldn't help myself. I turned around to look at what he was seeing, and what I saw was what the actual fuck? Okay, so it's the sumo sticker, but that outfit is the same as Mule was wearing. What the hell? Ah! It was standing there, moaning in a voice that was filled with hatred and pain. Okay, chapter 5, Gigalomaniacs. The fuck? The hell is going on? Ah! What was that? What the hell was that? A giant woman with a head like a sumo sticker? It was almost like a bad joke. I wanted to laugh. This hilarious looking monster was going to be what killed me? The hell kind of death was that? That's right. Laugh. Laugh. If you laugh, that thing isn't scary at all. The giant woman's hands stretched out for me. As it moaned in pain, its arms moved in to crush me. And suddenly, my vision went black. I couldn't see anything. Then I realized it had probably crushed my eyes. That hilarious-looking sumo sticker woman had crushed my eyes. I was going to be torn apart like Serika and killed. It was the funniest thing in the world. Could you even imagine anything stupider? If it weren't about to kill us and hadn't just killed Best Girl, it might almost be kind of hot. I don't know about that. But, like, different people, different things. Hey, what are you doing? Suddenly I heard a sharp voice next to me. Something moved over my mouth to stop me from laughing. I was grabbed from behind, and thin but powerful arms were wrapped around my neck. It hurt. I couldn't breathe. Stay quiet. Don't make any more loud noises. If you promise to stay quiet, I'll let you go. Otherwise, I'll choke you until you pass out. I nodded as hard as I could, and then the hands around my neck relaxed, and it became much easier to breathe. My vision came back at the same time. Whoever had grabbed me had covered my eyes as well as my mouth. They hadn't been crushed after all. Where's that woman? Where's that monster? Calm down, I said. I doubled over in pain as she punched me in the stomach. I could feel stomach acid coming up in my throat and burning it. But the pain made my head feel much clearer. When I looked up, I didn't see a monster with the head of a sumo sticker anymore. Just a dark, musty hallway. Huh? What? Was that just a hallucination? Taka? Are you okay? Onoe? Ito? What did I... You had some kind of fit, and then you started to yell? We almost panicked too, and then Kunosato came to help us. Kunosato? Kunosato, wasn't that... I mean, now we know why she punched us in the stomach. Because she could. Oh, right, the girl who was with Shinjo. Goddamn amateurs. What are you even doing in a place like this? Yeah, I remembered that cold voice. I looked back at the speaker. Yeah, that's her. It doesn't look like someone brought you here, which means... Did you sneak in here? How? How? Even we had a hell of a time getting the key to this place. So how did you get here? Because Serika's got a magic door ability that we haven't figured out yet. It's fine. Um... Sure, we had a bit of a bad time in the autopsy room, but it hadn't really been hard to get here. None of the doors had been locked. When I told her that, Kunosato glared at us with suspicious eyes. Yeah, Serika has the Keyblade. Ah. Kunosato? Whatever. Anyway, you're in the way. Go home. Come on, you can't do that to us. I appreciate you saving us, but you can't just... The next instant, Kunosato had closed the gap between Ito and herself and started strangling him. I told you not to make noise. Did you not hear me? Ito nodded, tears coming out of his eyes. I could understand why. I didn't know how she could store so much power in her tiny body, but I just felt it for myself. Poor Ito's been having a bad time today. Ito rubbed his throat in pain as she let him go. I'll say it again. You're in the way. Now go. Her voice was intimidated enough that I almost obeyed, but we'd come here for a reason. And this place had something to do with our past. If I could, I wanted to find out what happened then. Maybe we could be rid of the nightmare that had been making us suffer for so long. So even though she scared me, I needed to tell her straight. I... we... We're here because we have something we have to do. We can't go home just because you tell us to. Onoe. That was what I was trying to say. Onoe. You're Onoe. Serika? Yes, that's right. What is it? Nothing. Just leave. I know it's dangerous, but we have to. Who said I was worried about you? Huh? I'm here for my own reasons. I don't want you screwing up and keeping me from what I came here to do. How cold. Why are you here then? It's got nothing to do with you. She turned around and started to walk away. Fine. We'll do what we want then. We will. What? She turned around and stared at us. Her glare was like a fierce panther's. I swallowed my words, but Serika didn't. We're not going to leave if you won't even tell us why. Ew. Come on, Taku. Let's hurry up and get that phone back. Yeah. Man, women are strong when it counts, huh? Ito whispered in my ear. Fine, follow me then. Just do what I tell you, okay? Yeah, I'm just here to steal drugs. What is your excuse? Huh? Is that all right? Why are we asking permission again? Ito had become very polite toward her after she had strangled him, that's fair. There's no time, and it's taken a lot of careful investigation to get this far. I don't want you getting found or causing a fuss and then ruining everything. Her arrogant manner was almost enough to make me talk back to her, but then I realized something. If she'd done a lot of careful investigation, that meant she had information that we didn't. So wouldn't it be better to just pretend to obey for now? And then in the end, we can just use you. We're done talking. Follow me along the wall. No loud noises or talking. She looked down the hallway and then moved over to the wall. And then she started to move quickly and quietly. I made eye contact with Ito and Serika, then followed her. The further down the hallway we went, the darker it got. The lights were sporadically placed, and half of them were burnt out. You had to look carefully to see more than a few meters ahead. The only things I had to guide me were the black-haired girl in front of me and the wall that I was touching with my hand. The wall hadn't been repaired for a long time. In some places the paint had fallen off, and in parts the steel beams underneath were exposed. This place must have been built a long, long time ago. We walked through the underground labyrinth as quietly as we could. None of my five senses were of any use to me now, and I had no idea where I was or how I'd gotten there. But Kuno Sato seemed to know exactly where she was going. Looking back, maybe we were lucky to meet her. Hmm? What's that? I had no idea how long we'd been walking, but we finally came to a part of the hallway with a row of doors on the opposite wall. The doors were made of steel and looked very strong. On the upper part of each was what looked like a number plate. There were tiny windows on the doors, but they had thick bars on them. They looked like the solitary confinement cells I'd seen on a TV show once. Are there people in here? No, no way. The space beyond the bars was pitch black, and I couldn't tell if there was anything inside. That's kind of creepy. Shut up and keep walking. Sorry. Ito quickly apologized, but Kunosato turned around, walked up to him, and wrapped her hand around his throat again. Again? I'm not playing around here. You're going to get killed. I mean, he's gonna get killed because she's gonna kill him, but, details. Ito nodded again and again until she finally glared at him one last time and let him go. Huh. He put his hand to his throat and moaned a little. It was obvious that Kunosato wasn't messing around. Yeah, harder, mommy. Maybe this place was more dangerous than I thought. Ah! Suddenly I heard the sound of someone pounding the door from the inside. Huh? Huh? Someone was inside? Taka? What the hell's going on? Be quiet. Don't make a fuss. But... Ah! Ah! We almost screamed, but when we saw Kunosato's glare, we quickly put our hands over our mouths. What the hell was that voice? Oh no, no. Serika tugged frantically at my arm. Then Ito grabbed onto me too. I wanted to cling to someone too, but there was no one for me to grab. Look, I can see eyes behind that door. What? I looked over where Ito was pointing and tried to see for myself, but I couldn't see anything. You're imagining it, man. No, I'm sure I saw them. Those were definitely eyes. La la la. Huh? Now there was singing? I could hear a girl singing in a tiny, barely audible voice. Creak, creak. A woman was pushing an old baby carriage down the hallway towards us. She was the one singing. Serika and Ito cringed in terror. My heart was beating so fast and so loud that I could hear the sound echoing in my ears. Don't move. Get up close to the wall and stay put. She can't see us. But do it. Don't talk. Kunosato pushed her back up against the wall and stopped breathing. We did the same, our bodies shaking with fear as we moved. You want me to sing some more, right? Creak, creak. The sound of the creaking old carriage got closer and closer as the woman passed near us. Kunosato was right. Her eyes were hazy and out of focus, and she didn't seem to notice us. But she was only a meter away. La, la, la. Slowly, slowly. She sang as she pushed the carriage right past us. Yeah. Ito was so terrified his body started to spasm. He gave a small cry. La, la. The woman stopped right in front of us and slowly turned around. Her empty eyes stared at us, and then slowly, jerkily, like a broken machine, she tilted her head. We clung to the wall and held our breath, unable to move a muscle. We were too scared to even close our eyes. I couldn't take any more. I wanted out. I wanted to get away from here. If I stayed here another minute, I was going to go crazy. The woman stared at us for what felt like hours. But then she looked forward once more as if nothing had happened and started to walk again. La, la, la. We almost collapsed to the ground in relief. I couldn't take my eyes off of her as she disappeared into the darkness. Do you understand what kind of place you're in now? Even as we'd been almost crushed by the terror, Kunosato had been completely calm. I don't care if you want to go home. It's too late now. That room is what we're here for. Kunosato moved away from the wall and stared straight in front of us. That room? I followed her gaze to a pair of double doors in the darkness. They were different than the others. They looked like the doors to a normal lab. Come on, don't follow behind. Kunosato headed towards the doors, seeming completely unafraid. Serika's legs were shaking too much for her to move, so Ito and I helped her as we followed. When we got to the door, Kunosato took out what looked like a keycard from her skirt pocket. This door had a modern electric lock, unlike the others we'd seen so far. She put the keycard up to the reader, and the door swung open silently. She disappeared into the room, and we quickly followed. Huh? We all gasped as we entered the room. An entire wall of the room was lined with monitors. They were probably set up to observe something, but every one of them was off, so there was no way to tell what. But it was hard to believe that someone would set up something like this in a normal hospital. Hey. Yeah? Kunosato turned towards Ito and gave him an order in a flat, emotionless voice. You can at least stand guard, right? Listen for any sounds outside the door. Let me know if anyone comes. Roger. Kunosato nodded, looked around the room, and then headed straight for a computer. She took a look at the wiring behind it and then flipped the power switch. The machine started to make a low noise. It works? You can tell by looking at it, right? But is it okay to just boot it up like that? Why? Because if it's connected to the net, they might know you turned it on. Don't worry. I've confirmed that it's a standalone system. A standalone is a computer that's isolated from any other computers or networks. Before the broad introduction of modems and the internet, almost all home PCs were standalone, but now standalone machines are almost never seen except in special cases. Oh, that explained it. If that was true, at least we wouldn't have to worry about someone seeing it from the outside. Did you think that any ideas you could come up with I wouldn't have come up with already? Don't insult me like that. She was as obnoxious as ever. Neither of us know the first thing about you, though, so can you really blame us? Was something that neither Ito nor I could say. The OS on the computer booted up. I looked at the screen and saw Kunosato was entering some kind of password. The password was accepted and the screen filled with several folders. She opened them up and began carefully checking the contents of each one. Unfortunately, many of the files were written in English and we had no idea what they said. Kunosato, however, was reading through each one and nodding. This whole folder's got a password on it. This means this is where... She seemed to be trying to unlock the password at incredible speed. Hey. What? You ever see her at school? No, why? She was at school wearing our uniform, so she's probably a student. But I guess you've never seen her either, huh? Are you serious? Ito seemed more shocked than I expected. You're kidding, right? You're telling me I missed a pretty girl like this? Okay, not only was she attractive, she seemed incredibly smart, and she had an arrogant attitude that made her nothing like the other students. If she'd been coming to school, she would have stood out in both a good and a bad way. But Ito didn't know her. What are you looking at? Serika asked the question that both Ito and I had been too afraid to ask. I was sure she'd be told to shut up, but... What they're doing here at this facility. She answered Serika's question much more easily than I expected. Then maybe I could ask something too. She doesn't like us. She likes Serika. Does this facility have something to do with the hospital? I told you to shut up. Uh, damn it. Yeah, I tried 58008 and 42069. That's all my options exhausted. Every single password fits in there. Why was I getting treated so differently? Was it because Serika was a girl? Was she one of, those types? Don't tell me she normally dressed and acted like a boy. That would explain why Ito didn't know her. Kunosato ignored me and typed in a series of commands. I mean, after that, she should ignore us. And then opened what looked like a top secret file. And then, that's it. She smiled for the first time that I'd ever seen and clicked on a file. And then something appeared on the screen. Was it some kind of drawing? It was a strange picture drawn in ink and paint. What is this? A scribble? No, that's... I'd seen it somewhere before. It's the ink blot thing, isn't it? That's right, a Rorschach test. I remembered reading about them in an issue of Cool Cat Press. You may look stupid, but I guess you do have some bare minimum of knowledge. I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an insult. A Rorschach test? It's some kind of personality test, right? That's right. You look at a meaningless drawing made from ink stains, and what you see reveals things about your personality and how you think. More precisely, you use ink splashed on a folded paper to create a symmetrical picture. Just like Kunosato said, all the pictures on the screen were almost perfectly symmetrical. But there's doubts as to whether the Rorschach test actually functions as a psychoanalytical tool. Kunosato was studying the screen intently. Which means this is a psych ward like the one upstairs? If that was the case, I could imagine what these monitors were there for. They were to look at each of the patient's rooms. That would mean that this was a medical facility that treated illnesses. At least that's what I wanted it to mean. Because that thing that Serika and I had seen as a child, that strange atmosphere that we'd sensed, and that voice which I could still hear in my ears, save me. We abandoned her and ran away from this place. I mean, to be fair, we have been, peak stupid as soon as we walked in here. So, we have not really been able to show off our intellect yet. So if that wasn't some kind of torture chamber, and this place was actually curing her, Serika and I would be free of the guilt that had been with us for so long. I don't think so, man. But my hopes... No, this place isn't anything like that. Were quickly dashed by Kunosato's answer. She opened another folder. It was filled with reports, written in Japanese this time. Clinical trials involving intermittent pulses to the senses. Electrical pulse signals to the lobes and their effect on the phenomenon. Just as I thought. They're doing clinical trials from a brain science perspective. A brain science perspective? Clinical trials? Shut up, no talking. But I think there might be a girl I know here. What? I lied. I didn't know who she was. But if I didn't lie, it didn't feel like she was going to tell me anything. Just as I expected, when she turned around, I saw the first faint glimmerings of interest in me on Kunosato's face. I gave her a brief description of what I'd witnessed in here so long ago. Kunosato bit her lip. Her expression was different than before. But then she forced herself to look back at the computer. Yeah, that was definitely a human experiment. A human experiment? No, then that meant... Save me! Then that meant she was... That horrible vision started to eat away at me again. In the simplest terms, they were experimenting by screwing around with the human brain. Screwing around with the human brain? But you can't... I told you, this place isn't anything like what you thought it was. Kunosato was trying to keep her face as expressionless as possible. And then the second she opened up another file, she gasped a little. I could see the words on the screen as well. Wait a second. What is this? Yeah, Which means your conscience is still guilty, fucker. She was completely focused on reading the report, so she didn't notice that I was looking over her shoulder as well. Clinical trials on supersensory perception, a practical approach to a generation of special event fluctuations. What were event fluctuations? Kunosato clicked the mouse to move to the next page. I read along with her. Pathogenesis via visual stimulation. Accuracy rating 9.25%. Manifestation via induced dopamine emission in the central limbic system. Damage and removal of the hypothalamic area. No pathogenesis seen. Thought tracing, remote viewing, influence on events via amplified delusions. Over half the report was filled with specialized language that I didn't really understand. But by desperately connecting the words I did know, I managed to make some sense out of the report. And there's no way. Yeah, quantum physics be wild, man. I was stunned. Was that really possible? The girl who'd cried to us for help was being experimented on here. And the point of those experiments was to alter the human brain to give it supernatural powers? That explained why Shinjo and Kunosato were talking about psychics. And that was the commonality that I'd suspected was lurking behind the murders. Hey. Kunosato caught me looking and threatened me in a low voice, but I didn't have time to worry about that. Is this true? It's like science fiction. She looked unhappy but gave in. The experiments seem to have been going on for a while. Actually, it's safe to assume the entire point of this hospital was to camouflage those experiments. Yeah, I think this might prove that our power could be to see alternate timelines. Or at least, like, maybe even alternate dimensions? Like, because, like, I'm thinking about our delusion that we just had about the sumo sticker with Mio's face. Like, that couldn't happen necessarily in reality, but we still had the delusion for it. So, I don't know. Yeah, but I assure you, it's science fact. This whole hospital. Yeah. But is it still... Huh? Are those experiments still going on? If that was true, was she still here? No, they were canceled after a certain event. Something? They were canceled exactly 6 years ago, on November 6th, 2009. Is that the day of the Shibuya earthquake? The earthquake caused too much damage for them to continue their research? No, that's not right. This hospital was well away from the epicenter. There was no damage at all. Then why? That's what I'm trying to find out. Kunosato stopped short and clicked her tongue. She must have decided she'd told us too much. Just stay quiet. She pushed me away from the screen lightly. It looked like she didn't want me to read anymore. Huh? What's this? Kunosato's hand froze on the mouse. She was staring intently at the screen. Then she started to talk to herself. The effect on the 11th Rorschach on the brain. The 11th? She just knocked me away so that I couldn't see the screen, but I couldn't help but lean forward. Her voice was just that strange. What's wrong? There's only 10 Rorschach tests. I've never heard of an 11th... Shut up, you! Kunosato turned around and glared at me. When she did, I caught a glimpse of the monitor. The screen was filled with thumbnails of the different Rorschach tests, and Kunosato was just about to click on this mysterious 11th Rorschach. Kunosato clicked to open the file. When she did... Uh-oh. Oh, no. Huh? What appeared on the screen was... the sumo sticker? What was going on? I felt sick. I couldn't stand. I collapsed to the floor. It felt like something was crawling up from the bottom of my intestines. That something was bugs. Tiny, slimy bugs with lots of little feet were crawling up from my stomach into my throat, scattering disgusting fluids behind them as they moved. The disgusting, crawling sensation passed through my throat and out into my mouth. What the hell were these things? Stop it! Help me! I feel sick! Help me! Get out of my body! Taka? G- g- Taka, snap out of it! Taka! Yeah. I found their top secret files on the 11th Rorschach test, the 8th wonder of the world, and the 32nd Baskin Robbins flavor. Huh? Did I fall asleep? No, that wasn't it. I'd looked at the screen and gotten sick. And then passed out? Where was I? My head felt awfully cold. It feels kind of good. I could hear Sedika's voice, but I couldn't see her. Where was I? Look at him. Ito was here? You and I are matching, Taka. Matching? What was she talking about? Huh? When I looked to the side and saw it, my head cleared instantly. Sedika was next to me, lying in the same kind of seat I'd seen the girl in the visions in. What was strange was her head. There was something on top of it, slimy and pink. No, that wasn't it. That was... That was her brain. The top of Sedika's skull was completely gone, with several electrodes sticking out of what remained. Yeah! I suddenly heard a high-pitched voice from the other side. It took some time before I realized that the voice belonged to Ito. That's how insane it sounded. I couldn't tell if Ito was screaming in pain or pleasure. His brain was exposed, and part of it seemed to be missing. Doesn't this feel good, Taka? I tried to move, but I was held down tight and couldn't budge. Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! Don't move. I heard a cold voice from above my head. The voice was... I'll make you just like him now, so stay put. Something cold touched my head. At least, that's how it felt. It felt good. Like my brain was going to melt. And soon I wasn't sure where I ended and the rest of the world began. Huh? Where was I? Look, there are some days that I think a brain massage sounds like an amazing idea. I was back in the basement? Taka, are you okay? Huh? Yeah, I'm alright. Can you stand up? Here. Ito slowly helped me to my feet. Yeah, the world ends with you. Sorry, what happened to me? That creepy sticker suddenly appeared on the screen and you got scared. Then you tripped and hit your head. I see. I rubbed the back of my head and sure enough, there was a big bump. Kunosato was staring at me from in front of the screen. I thought she was going to complain again, but instead she pulled me up to look at the screen. Huh? There's something I want you to tell me. Come here. Oh, if it's that sticker, I'd rather not. I don't feel well. No, that's not it. Just come here. Yeah, you fell into another coma and didn't wake up for 4 years. We drew dicks on your face while you were sleeping. The end. First you want me not to look, then you want me to look. What? Fine. Since it was clear that she wasn't going to take no for an answer, I stood next to her. This is the file I want you to look at. Kunosato tapped the report on the screen with her nails. It was found that the 11th Rorschach, that image you just saw, had some kind of effect, and the first experiments were performed in 2007, it says. 2007 was 2 years before the Shibuya quake. That was right about the time people started to see the sumo stickers, if I remembered right. And that was the same year we'd stuck in here to find out the truth about the urban legend of Amy. I took the mouse and read the next part. It was found that those with the potential to cause event variations responded differently to the 11th Rorschach than other subjects. This phenomenon was first observed in subject number 79, Senri Minamisawa. And then I stopped scrolling down the screen. There was a picture of a girl there. Ugh. Well, do you know this girl? Taku. This girl? Uh, uh, remember her? That was the girl. That was the girl we'd seen that day. And, and Nono knows something about her. Save me. That was the girl who'd seen us and begged for help. Kunosato looked at me. This is the friend you were saying might be kept here, right? Yeah. I wasn't sure how to answer, but I decided to keep up the lie that she was my friend. The truth was, I only just now learned that her name was Senri Minamizawa. I see. But Kunosato looked very sad. I didn't know she was even capable of looking that way. She stared at the picture of Senri Minamizawa on the screen. I don't like you, but I'm willing to show respect for the fact that you've never forgotten your friend who suffered here. Huh? Her eyes grew just a little softer. But I felt a cold sweat as I looked at them. No. It wasn't out of friendship that I'd never been able to forget the girl named Senri Minamizawa. It was because she was in my nightmare. But I couldn't say that. All I could do was try and make it hard to tell what I was really thinking. You wanted to save her, but you couldn't. But that's not your fault. You don't need to blame yourself. That's not it. That's not what happened. I had been too afraid to save her, and I had abandoned her. What's she doing now, I wonder? Kunosato didn't realize what I was thinking, though. She called up more data on the girl called Senri Minamizawa. Since she showed special symptoms in response to the 11th image, she was the subject of rather forceful experiments. But she survived. Forceful experiments? The kind that could kill you? When I heard that, I almost threw up. I did my best to keep Kunosato from finding out. But she was close to the epicenter of the Shibuya quake, and ever since then, she's been missing. Missing? No, more precisely, this facility shut down right after the earthquake, so there's no data on her. But there's a good chance that she didn't survive the quake. Yeah, they stuck all the probes into her brain. I see. It was horrible, but I felt a little less like throwing up. At least she hadn't died because of the experiments or because we'd abandoned her. Hearing that made me feel like I'd been forgiven a little. A violent sense of self-hatred overcame me again. I'm sorry. Senri Minamizawa. She'd been practically tortured here as part of those experiments and then been caught in the earthquake. But I... And then I felt something tugging at the edge of my memories. Minamizawa. Hadn't I heard that name somewhere before? But then, where? And from who? Huh? But... Before I could think about it any further, Ito spoke up hesitantly. What? You said that this facility shut down, but that doesn't make sense. There are still people here, right? And there's also that little girl. Yeah, you're right. We followed that little girl down here. If this place was abandoned, what's she doing here? Oh, that? Kunosato closed the file on Senri Minamizawa, and her face took on its usual cool, emotionless expression. This place is now being used as an institution to house subjects who encountered trouble during their experiments. Trouble? During their experiments? It's an underground prison for patients whose brains were damaged in failed experiments, or who simply went insane. Some are kept locked in cells, and some aren't. A cold chill ran through my body. La, la, la. You can't mean... That's not... That's impossible. That's horrible. These people are willing to do anything to achieve their goals. These are the kinds of people you're up against. That's why I warned you at the start. Kunosato opened another file. According to this, there are still around 20 people being kept here. She scrolled down the page and a new picture appeared. Oh, wait, that girl! That was the girl we'd been following. That's got to be her, Taku. Her name is Uki Yamazoe. It looks like she was originally part of the experiments, too. Huh? This shattering revelation was presented to us as a mere matter of fact, as if it was the most ordinary thing imaginable. Sirika covered her hand with her mouth and her eyes went wide. Then she had suffered the same fate as Senri Minamisawa? Fortunately, she managed to survive all the experiments without losing her sanity, and now she's been given the job of caring for the patients on this floor. Caring for the patients? I thought she was a criminal who'd stolen my smartphone and threatened me. And what's more, I thought that she was either connected with the killer or maybe that she was the killer herself. But now I wasn't sure. No, stop. Don't let yourself be fooled by her looks or her past. In that situation, she was the only one who could have picked up my phone. And if she was a test subject here, she might have some kind of power, too. You'd need something like that if you wanted to make a call from a canceled smartphone. As my mind raced, Kunosato was checking out every bit of data on the machine. But the results of the experiments showed that only 0.01% of subjects were able to manifest a D-sword. The experiments were judged a failure, and it was decided that another course should be pursued. I knew it, those idiot scientists. Kunosato sounded uncharacteristically ticked off as she closed all the folders and turned off the PC. D-sword? That strange word snapped me out of my reverie. It seemed that that was what she was looking for. I looked at her, hoping for some kind of answer, but she just glared back at me with terrifying eyes. Time's up. We're leaving. Huh? If we stay here any longer, they'll find us. But we still haven't found what we're here for. Your plan was terrible to begin with. You don't even know the layout of this facility, do you? She was right. I'd snuck in here as a child, but that was all. I didn't remember the details. Then there's no point in even looking. She was right, damn it, but there must be some way. I looked around the room and saw the rows of monitors. If they were on, they could at least tell us what was going on around the facility. Maybe they could tell us where Uki Yamazoe was. What's wrong, Miyashiro? I'm looking for the power source for these monitors. If we can turn them on, then maybe... It's useless. We don't even know if the observation system is even functional. Yeah, I've downloaded all the porn this terminal has to offer. We're done here. Huh? Suddenly, the room was bathed in pale light. All of the monitors on the wall turned on. What? All we could do was gasp. What we thought were security cameras were showing... hundreds of sumo stickers. Oh, that's not great. That's probably not a good sign for us. I almost screamed. I was so surprised. Taka, I'm scared. Inside the monitors on the wall was face after sumo sticker face, all looking at me. Yeah, this is very bad for our brain. What was this? What was going on? Uh-oh, another delusion. Huh? Where am I? Hey, don't fall asleep. Kunosato. Huh? I was back in the chair. Was this a dream? Which was the dream? Was I dreaming of being in this chair, or had I been dreaming of being in the monitoring room? My head felt really cold. Oh, that's right. They'd opened my skull. You've got a nice brain, huh? Did I? It's all pink and wrinkly, and it looks delicious. Should I be happy about that? Of course. Now then, time for dinner. Kunosato grinned with glee and took something metallic out of her pocket. A spoon? The human brain tastes best when you eat it while still alive. Huh. Who knew? Yeah, apparently I am not the first person who wanted to put Takeru in a jar and dissect him. I almost feel bad for that comment. Okay, here I go. She was eating it. Kunosato was eating my brain. Oh man, I can't stop. Uh, hmm. I never thought that it would feel so good when someone ate my brain. More. Eat more. Eat me. That is possibly the least erotic scenario that someone has ever said that in, but you know. Yeah, I don't think that now is the time for I wonder what that would taste like. I don't think I really want to know. Again, I had another weird delusion. I quickly shook my head and slapped my cheeks to snap me out of it. I don't like these. I feel sick. Serika and Ito looked unhappy. It was because of the sumo stickers displayed on the monitors. I looked at the monitors once more, trying my best to avoid the sumo stickers. Huh? Is that the inside of this hospital? Some of the monitors were showing the inside of the hospital, but some were looking somewhere else. Street corners on Shibuya, signs under bridges, alleyways, overpasses, train stations, staircases, store walls. And then I realized all of the monitors with sumo stickers are from security cameras outside the hospital. Some of them I knew. That was the spot where Kurisu had been attacked. Of course, there were sumo stickers there. I see. So they've been searching. I do not know if she gets our powers if she eats our brain. In theory. That's a good question. Searching. Remember what the file said? People capable of causing special event variations react strongly to the 11th image. Kunosato pointed to a corner of one of the monitors. I quickly looked away before I got a direct look at the sumo sticker. In other words, whoever was using this place put up the 11th Rorschach image all over Shibuya and used these cameras to find people who reacted to it. And then they took them here and did those horrible experiments? I remembered what I'd seen happen to Senri Minamizawa and felt like I was going to throw up again. Hmm? And then Konosato made a sharp noise. She put her hand on one of the monitors to brush away the dust and then stared at it. It showed something moving around a dark room. There was no sumo sticker there. It wasn't an image of Shibuya or of the hospital above, so it was probably showing one of the rooms down here. That girl! It was definitely the girl. On the screen, she was saying something to an old person lying on a bed and gently wrapping belts around their arms and legs. Hurry! It's almost time for security to come by. That girl was my only clue as to where my smartphone was, which meant that we had to find the room on the monitor. Yeah, I mean, it does explain the streamer eating his arm at the beginning. Like, all of this, all of the weirdness, like, they all saw the stickers because the stickers were right there. Kunosato suddenly told me that she knew where it was. She'd been so uncooperative so far, I had no idea why she suddenly decided to help. But when she saw the girl, she suddenly said that she'd go with us. Of course, I knew her well enough by now. She wasn't helping us, she'd simply taken an interest in that girl. At least that was how I saw it. As we moved down the dim hallway, the temperature dropped and the humidity went up. This is it? She stopped in front of a door with strange words on the plate. Confinement Room 3. Kunosato opened the door a little, taking care to make as little noise as possible. I peeked inside. And there I saw a world that I'd only ever seen in movies. There were rows of beds in the room, and there were what appeared to be prisoners lying on them. They had different ages and sexes. Some were old and some seemed young. And one of them I recognized. It was the old lady the woman had been walking with before. 213985717983557. Glaka. Some of them were screaming. Some of them were counting numbers endlessly. One was a girl who was endlessly chewing her food. It seemed unreal. Yeah, the sticker is really Arzan or its mark. He's looking for psychic vessels to forge the Keyblade. I remembered the woman with the baby carriage I'd passed before and felt cold sweat forming on my palms. This is severe OCSD, overeating and chewing caused by damage to the hypothalamic area, hemispatial neglect caused by damage to the cerebral hemisphere. All of them have had their brains messed with. All right, hemispatial neglect, the inability of a person to recognize stimuli that occur on either their left or right side, caused by some form of damage to the brain. For example, if a patient with this disability was asked to draw a picture of an analog clock, they would only be able to draw half the numbers. This is because while their eye sees the entire clock, the brain is only able to recognize half of it. Chewing is a type of eating disorder seen in mental patients, refers to the act of endlessly chewing one's food rather than chewing and then swallowing it. And OCSD is short for obsessive compulsive spectrum disorders, a spectrum of disorders with obsessive compulsive qualities such as the compulsion to repeatedly wash one's hands to wipe away an invisible stain. Disorders such as autism and Asperger's syndrome are also considered part of the spectrum. Yeah, so many lobotomies, like, then everyone here. They can't be easily disposed of, so they're kept here. For a moment, the tone of her voice changed. It felt like there was a pale flame burning somewhere deep within her voice. It was a pale flame of rage, which seemed cold at first glance, but was in fact incredibly hot. Taka? Serika tugged at my sleeve and whispered. She pointed at a bed in the back with her other hand. I could see something moving past what looked like a curtain. I'm sorry. It's a little cramped, but please endure it. When you wake up, we can go for another walk, okay? Oh yes, I'm coming. Just wait. Someone appeared from within the curtain. That's her. That's the girl. The girl in the file, Uki Yamazoi, didn't seem to notice us. She moved around from one patient to another, doing her best to take care of them. Good. She's still sane. I could hear Kunosato whisper, how do I get my phone back from her? I don't know if she'll listen to me if I ask for it, and if she sets off an alarm. I'm getting her out of here. Once she's out, you can ask her whatever you want about her phone. Huh? It took me a moment to figure out what she was saying. But by the time that I did, she'd flung open the door to the room and left inside. Huh? Yeah, just turn on the intercom and demand the phone back. Having another set of voices in there would absolutely help everyone. Uki Yamazoi's eyes went wide at the sudden intruder. Kunosato grabbed her hand. Who are you? All the patients started to scream, afraid of the sudden commotion. Everyone, please calm down. It's all right. Yamazoi looked around the room and tried her best to calm the people there, even as Kunosato held onto her arm. Just come with me. Huh? Security will see us. Hurry up. Who are you? What's going on? I'm setting you free from this place. No, don't stop. The girl named Uki Yamazoi went pale and tried to free herself from Kunosato's grip. She was completely in a panic. Kunosato must have decided that there was nothing to be gained by talking because she quickly moved around her and put her arm on the girl's carotid artery. Then she applied a very light pressure. Yeah, this feels like kidnapping somehow. Like, I know she's in a bad situation, it seems like, but this doesn't seem right either. Uki Yamazoi moaned for just an instant, and then she slumped backward into Kunosato's arms. She seemed to have passed out. Hey. Yes? Time's up. Get separated from me and I leave you. What happens after that, I don't care. Huh? If you don't want to end up like these guys, follow me. She put the unconscious girl on her back and then ran outside the room without bothering to wait for us. I was stunned at her speed, but there was no time for hesitating. Onoe, Ito! I motioned to Serika and Ito and ran out into the hallway. We followed after Kunosato as fast as we could. Just like she said, if we got lost here, we'd be caught for sure. And who knew what would happen to us then? Go. I didn't know who was doing these experiments or why, but their victims were suffering horrible fates. As I ran, it felt as if their screams of rage were following me. I can't go on anymore. I can't move. We followed Kunosato as fast as we could and then made it outside the hospital via a different route than before. Kunosato was sweating like a racehorse and her breathing was heavy, but she never let her guard down for a second. Instead, she seemed to be looking around intently. We were at the back of the hospital. This seemed like the exit where they moved corpses from the morgue to the hearse. And for that reason, there was a fence surrounding us that kept us hidden. Kunosato had evidently taken this fence into account in her escape plans from the start. What do we do now? I was too out of breath to speak, so Serika spoke for me. The underground facility is probably in an uproar now. They'll find us soon. If you don't want to die, move. Let's go. We were almost at the rear gate to the hospital. She started to run toward it. We followed her with the last of our strength. There was a guard stationed there, but inside there were only two men, asleep, heads pointed at the ceiling. The sleeping drug I use doesn't last that long. If we don't hurry, they'll wake up. I frantically made my way through the guard station and finally got past the hospital's outer walls. Literally, we would have done nothing if Mio hadn't been here. We ran a little longer and found a van parked in a secluded spot. We had no idea what we were doing or getting into. What's going on, Mio? Looks like you've got a crowd with you. A broad-shouldered woman looked up at us from the driver's seat. It was hard to tell how old she was. Her attitude and bearing made her look like an older person, but the mischievous grin on her face made her seem younger. So, did you find what we needed? Yes. Even after all those victims it created, the experiment failed to complete the theory. I see. They found no reliable way to cause the D-swords to manifest, so the Gigglemaniac experiments were deemed a failure. Well, that's just what we suspected. Gigolo... what? And what was a D-sword? Didn't she say something about that in the monitoring room? I did find an important source of information, though. She is kind of pretty. Kunosato opened the rear door and laid Ukiyo Amazoe on the back seat. Her? I think she's a survivor of the experiments. I want to take her with us. Well, whatever. She can stay with us for a while. Thanks. Kunosato hadn't even dropped her attitude for Detective Shinjo, but now she was being polite. Just who was this woman? And who are these people? Your friends? No, of course not. I'll decide later if they're good for anything. If you can just take them to my place. She seemed to be referring to us, but what did she mean by good? She was as arrogant as ever, and like usual, she was pissing me off. Roger. Everyone get in. Hurry. I mean, it seems like we'll be with her for a while, so I guess we don't need to search her pockets. Her voice got a little sharper as she pointed to the middle seat in the back of the van. We could hear what sounded like a lot of yelling from the direction of the hospital. We quickly jumped inside and closed the door. Kunosato got in the front passenger seat. The van started quietly and headed off into the night. This is it. Come in. Why are you staring? Get moving. Excuse me. It's not nice to stare at people's homes. Home? Is this your... That's right. Is there a problem? It's just... I mean... The outside wasn't much better, but looking inside it was hard to believe that there were still apartments this dumpy in Shibuya. The same was true of everything else in the room. Everything in the apartment was the cheapest kind you could buy. The only thing that was worth anything was the computer. Huh? What is it, monsieur? Ah! Yeah, damn bitch, you live like this? I pushed Ito out of the way and ran over to the computer. The monitor was still on, and the page there was one I'd seen many times. Oh, the secret is out. Shibuya News. And it wasn't the display version of the page that we'd seen so many times. The page was in the process of being edited. No way! Are you Kei? So that was it. I thought I'd heard her voice somewhere before. Her voice was just too different from the gentle Kei that we were used to hearing. But that voice was, without a doubt, Kei's. What? No, wait, seriously? You mean you're Kei? From Shibuya News? Ito was pretty excited too, it seemed. Of course he was. Kei was someone we both admired. She was the ultimate right-sider. Since even I admitted it, she had to be at the top of her class. I never thought I'd be able to meet her like this, though. But I can't say I'd ever imagined Kei having a weird personality like this. Kunosato, the girl who'd been insulting us the whole evening, was the same person as the gentle Kei that we knew from Shibuya News. Which was the real one? I didn't know. Yeah, now she's gonna publish slander articles about her club. And why had Kei brought us to her room? I thought I'd remembered her saying she'd decide if she could use us later. Oh, first illusion. Positive or negative? I looked over and saw something strange in the corner of the room. The best way to describe it would be to call it a sword. All right, let's do positive. But I wasn't sure if most people who saw it would think that. Its design was complicated and frankly unrealistic. For some reason, looking at it made me feel uneasy. It made me feel really bad, actually. What was that? If someone told me it was for cosplay, I'd probably believe them. If nothing else, it didn't match the image I had of the person in front of me. Not the Kei I knew from Shibuya News. Yeah, I mean, we've had a tough stream. So let's have some nice moments. Or the Kunosato who'd been swearing at me the whole night. Did she maybe have a third identity? Maybe she was a famous cosplayer. Or maybe she was a toy artisan who made life-sized weapons. Maybe she was an otaku who collected swords like this. Either way, it felt like a bad idea to mention it. Best to just ignore it. Best to pretend I never saw it. Miyashiro. Huh? Are you interested in that sword? Kunosato brought it up, and I was trying my hardest to ignore it. No, not really. I tried my best to laugh and avoid looking at it. Kunosato must have sensed what I was doing because she dropped the subject. Instead... So, you were the true augur after all. She whispered. What was going on? Why had she brought us here? The window started to rattle. It must have been the wind. I mean, she does kind of look like Maki. They could probably be mistaken for the same character. The only thing I could see outside the window were the streetlights shining in the darkness. For some reason, I felt very anxious. And then it came without warning. There was a huge crash as the window shattered. A black ball landed in the center of the room. Huh? What's going on? I found you, Mio Kunosato. It was a tiny girl with glasses. I knew her face. She was the girl we'd seen at AH Tokyo Hospital. She followed me? Now that I've found you, all of you must die. I will execution you all. You too, Miyashiro. Huh. For some reason, I didn't sound very worried. I was having trouble keeping up with this situation. Taku? Sedika was clinging to me, a little afraid. It was rare to see her look that way. Normally, she was optimistic and easygoing. As the man here, I needed to protect her. I am the Windmaster. People call me Weasel Scythe. Weasel Scythe. That translated to whirlwind. I saw that her nails were shining emerald green. Did she paint them with luminescent paint? I didn't expect a 7th Praga here. But don't you know that this place is a Cielo Paraiso? If you use your power here... I don't care. I have only one order, to stop anyone from interfering with the plan. I won't let you. Kunosato reached for her blade, but before she could... Manifest my wind. A burst of wind blew through the room. The wind shone emerald green. Slice her apart. No. The emerald wind surrounded Kunosato's body. Her clothes were torn apart. Of course they were. Not just her clothes, her beautiful skin and long black hair were ripped apart by invisible blades. Red blood flew through the air. Gah! What's going on? What's happening? All of the anime cliches. Kunosato fell to the ground, covered in blood. Her hand had just managed to grab the blade, but she couldn't fight like that. Kunosato was going to die. But all I could do was stand there and watch. If I interfered, I would meet the same fate. I would be executioned. The augurs of the organizers have fallen in power, it seems. Mio Kunosato, did you really think the likes of you could stop me? Kunosato gritted her teeth and staggered to her feet, using the sword as a support. That's crazy. You can't do anything like that. She'll just kill you. Miyashiro. Huh? With the last of her strength, Kunosato offered me her sword. Take the sword. I was never able to master it. But perhaps you can. No, I know you can. You can draw out its true power. The holy Ideo Blade Gladiolus was created for you, the Chaos Child. For me? My name was the Chaos Child. Kunosato pushed it in my hands, her arm strong, but not strong enough that she was forcing me to take it. Yeah, Kay is giving us a sword, immediately sell it on eBay. There's even a computer right there. Takeru Miyashiro! Fight! Yeah, title drop, game is over. Fight? Me? Fight! Or everyone dies. And then Kunosato collapsed into my arms. I grabbed her, and suddenly my hands were slick with red blood. She'd always been so intimidating that I thought she was much taller than me, but her body was so frail and so light. She was just a girl too, but she'd fought so hard until she ended up like this. I had to do it. I didn't know what was going on, but if I didn't stop her, not only Kunosato's life or my life, but Serika and Ito's lives would be in danger as well. I would have to protect everyone. I set Kunosato on the ground and motioned to Serika and Ito to step back. I gripped the sword I'd been given tightly. Then I turned to face the girl in the glasses, weasel-sized. Are you finished, Chaos Child? I glared at her silently. If you've taken up that blade, then by my name, Weasel Scythe, I shall show you no mercy. I will execution you before you can undergo your true awakening. I didn't know what to expect, but if I didn't fight, I would die. I had to fight. I steeled myself and took a step towards Weasel Scythe. Huh? You are in your last year of high school. What the hell are you thinking? Sure, any Japanese boy who grew up on manga could fantasize about something like that, but it was all tropes and cliches. If it had gotten launched in a magazine, it would have been canceled after 10 weeks. I blamed the sword that was just sitting there in the corner. Any boy who saw that sword would remember his dark history. Anyway, this was no time to be thinking about that sword. Okay, I'm seriously a fan of yours. Just listening to your voice makes me feel better. Weasel Scythe is so hard to say. Like, I'm going to continue to mess that up, but I appreciate the flavor. I don't care. As I sat there fantasizing, Kunosato was tearing apart Ito's hopes and dreams. He was having a bad time. More importantly, you. Huh? You, Takeru Miyashiro, stop acting so bewildered all the time. Right. What is it? Crap, she was really scary. Was the Kay that I'd loved only an image I'd created for myself? And was this girl who she really was? Kunosato stood by the wall and glared at me, oblivious to how I felt. What is your power? Huh? It was so sudden that I didn't know what I'd been asked. Power? Who, me? I told you before, right? That facility was heavily guarded. It wasn't the kind of place an amateur could get inside that easy. Oh, absolutely. That is 100%, one of those manga that you read at age like 7 and it becomes part of your personality. I I just got lucky. A lot of coincidences happened and that's how I got inside. Don't hide it. You're using your power to do it. You're wrong. It's the same thing with the way the observation monitors turned on. What was she talking about? I didn't have any kind of powers. And wait, Kay, I respected you, so try not to disappoint me too much. What evidence do you have for that anyway? When I saw you down there, I figured that either you or he had to be a psychic. Kunosato pointed at me and Ito in turn. Me too? Yeah, but you didn't show any signs of a response after that, so I eliminated you. Yeah, and having a psychic girlfriend. Response? When you saw the 11th Rorschach. Okay, but why didn't she suspect Serika? Kunosato's deep dark eyes were peering into me. But Takura Miyashiro, when you saw that image, you reacted violently. No, I mean, that picture's really creepy, right? Of course I did. The way you reacted was different. How did you feel when you saw it? Tell me. The feeling I'd experienced when I'd seen the sumo sticker image came back to me. When I looked at it, all the hairs on my body stood on end, and I was attacked by nightmarish delusions from which there was no escape. It was so scary I couldn't help but look away from it. All right, want to look at it again to prove your innocence? No. Kunosato turned towards her computer and opened up a folder. She watched my face carefully as she moved to click on an image inside the folder. No. Please stop. I slowly sank to the floor and sat down, sweat pouring from my body. I looked away from the computer. I didn't have the courage to look at that image right now. Enough of this! Sedika interrupted with a yell. It was the first time in ages I'd heard her yell. I looked up to see her standing between me and Kunosato with her hands on her hips. What do you think you're doing? Are you seriously talking to Taco about psychics like this is an anime or something? You're insane! What? Onoe. Taka's seen those stickers at places where people have been killed. Of course they make him sick. When I remember what happened at the Love Hotel, I feel like throwing up too. If something that stupid is your proof, that makes me a psychic too, doesn't it? No, you're not a psychic. Why? Serika pushed harder. When she thought I was in trouble, sometimes she would turn into a totally different person. She would try to protect me in a different way than Kurose. It made me happy, and it made me feel better, but... Oh, no way. Thanks. But can you cool it for a little? What? But... Just back off for a bit. Thanks. Really. There was no way I had any kind of psychic power. But I'd already suspected that powers like that were involved in this case somehow. So I wanted to hear what Kunosato had to say. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. There's something that has to do with Serika. Because, every time it happens, she's in with us. So, although, thinking back to the Love Hotel, the first time that she found an unlocked door, she was looking for the vending machine at the Love Hotel, and we weren't with her. Because we were having our whole bitch fight with Nono. I don't know, man. Kunosato looked at me for a moment, questioningly, and then sighed. Then she took out her phone and made a call. The person on the phone didn't seem very happy about it, but they eventually gave their approval. She nodded and hung up the phone, then spoke. We're leaving again. Well, this time you won't be in any danger, don't worry. Yeah, it's a possibility. Huh,
It's awfully late for you to be visiting, but there's still time before we close, so enjoy and relax.
Kunosato took me to Cafe Lax. We were taken to a big table by the window. Come to think of it, I'd just been here a while ago. Last time it was to listen in on the conversation between Hinaya Arimura and Shinjo. While I was thinking about that, the person Kunosato had called walked into the cafe. They seemed upset. Huh? When I looked up and saw who was there, I gasped.
It's awfully late for you to be visiting. Enjoy and relax. I'll be leaving as soon as I'm done.
You're late.
Even I have to get ready to go places.
Hinaya Arimura? It was the girl I was just thinking about.
Huh? It's Hina. Hello. So, what's going on here, everyone?
No clue, don't ask me. True. What was she inviting Hinaya for?
And Kunosato, I told you not to get me involved in things just because I'm a helpful tool.
We offer each other information. That was the deal.
And yet you're the one who's using me, not the other way around.
Just sit down. Arimura sighed, glanced at us, and sat down with a frown on her face. There was an awkward moment after we ordered our drinks when no one spoke.
So, what's up?
Once our drinks arrived, Arimura, of course, was the first one to speak up. I figured it would be faster to show them than explain.
Did you tell them you couldn't?
I decided they could be worth using.
Really? I wish you'd cut that out.
From the way they were talking, Arimura must have known about these powers as well. And... Just stop whining and show them. Show them? Wait, she couldn't mean...
No, it's a pain in the butt.
I want proof of whether Takura Miyashiro is a psychic. No way, I told you, I'm not... He's a psychic, no doubt about it. Arimura spoke as if it was the most normal thing in the world. Arimura? Hey, is she right, Miyashiro?
I can't believe that.
I told you, I don't know what she's talking about.
I see. It's true that he doesn't know, it looks like. He has no idea.
Oh, is she a lie detector? How would you know, Arimura?
Oh, you really have no idea?
Of course I don't. If I had that power, I would have used it for something.
But when you want something to happen, something special always does, right? For example, when you snuck into the Love Hotel.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe her power is to know who other psychics are.
The door to the room was locked, so how did you get in?
You're lying. It wasn't locked.
No, it was. But suddenly it wasn't. Am I wrong, Seri?
Huh? Serika hesitated for a moment and looked at me.
Yeah, I did hear a click.
Onoe? Yeah, if I had psychic powers, I'd never leave the girls' locker room.
See? That's your power.
My power? No way. It's likely the ability to cause things to move. It's usually called telekinesis, but its other name, psychokinesis, might be more fitting for you. That's how you were able to get inside the hospital so easily. Are you serious? Ito was looking at me in shock. No, wait, that's not right. Sure, when I'd gone into the psych ward in the underground lab, a lot of coincidences had happened all at once. Doors that would normally be locked weren't. When I'd gone down to the underground facility from the autopsy room, something had gotten stuck and I'd been able to open a secret door. But there's no such thing as psychic powers. But Miyashiro, you said they might be the key to this case. I did say that, but... Sure, I'd been saying it just a little while ago. But only after being told that I was a psychic did I understand. I hadn't actually really believed it. When I'd said it aloud, I acted like it was some brilliant theory, but in my mind, I'd still been treating it as fiction. I mean, right? How could I have something so crazy?
Can you answer every question I'm about to say with no?
Huh? What's this all about?
Just do it, okay?
Okay. I nodded since it didn't seem like I was going to be given a chance to disagree.
You think everyone in your class is an idiot.
No.
But you wish you could be a part of their group.
No.
You've gone to karaoke by yourself.
No.
You went to karaoke by yourself, but didn't sing a single song.
No.
When you're living with Kurisu, you peeked in on her when she was in the bath.
No.
I see. I understand.
Arimura nodded and smiled. You understand what? Yeah, I have no idea what wrongsiders are.
First, the first question. Miyashiro, you think everyone's an idiot, don't you?
That's not true.
Next, but you're actually lonely and want to be a part of their group.
No, I'm not interested in their unproductive conversations.
You went to karaoke by yourself, didn't you?
Just to do something for the newspaper club. I didn't sing.
That's a lie.
Huh?
You did sing.
I did not sing.
Was it just one song?
I told you I didn't sing.
I see. It was just one song, huh? Hey, Miyashiro, is that true? You kept insisting you didn't sing, remember?
Arimura, how do you know this stuff? It had seemed like a waste, so I did sing one song.
Finally, when Kurisu was in the bath?
Okay, enough, stop it.
Taku.
Sedika pushed down on her ghetto froggy strap and made a noise like the "you lose" buzzer on a game show. Is this a TV variety show or something? No, that was Yuto playing a trick. He said nobody was inside, so I opened the door, and I looked away quickly so I didn't see anything. It's true. Do you have any idea what hell I went through after that? Just remembering it terrified me. Wait, no. What of it?
Can't you tell? That's my power.
Huh?
I can tell if what someone says is true or false. That's my power.
She could tell if someone was lying? Ah. And then I finally realized the way Arimura had acted and the things she said. Yeah, that's not psychic power. You can figure all that out just by looking at him. We're going to be convinced that she has psychic powers just because we have no poker face.
Can you say that out loud?
Was that what that was about?
Is what she's saying true?
No, it could be hot reading or cold reading. Cold reading is a set of techniques that uses the art of conversation, observation, and intuition to gain information about a target and make them believe that a user has spiritual or psychic powers. Since it has uses in counseling, therapy, police interrogations, and sales, unlike hot reading, it's not necessarily a form of fraud. Hot reading is a method primarily used by self-proclaimed psychics and spiritualists, where agents are used to learn about a target or subject in advance. The psychic then pretends that the information was gained through clairvoyance or mind reading to make it seem as though they have special powers.
Hot reading?
It's when you look things up ahead of time. Actually, just look it up on your own later. Forget it. This is taking too long. Kunosato looked annoyed and bored as she watched our conversation. Show it to him. That's the fastest way.
Show him? Here?
I don't think anyone but Miyashiro will be able to see it.
Maybe, but...
Arimura looked towards the ground. Show me something? Wait, what was she going to show me? She nodded reluctantly and then suddenly stood up in front of me.
Miyashiro?
What?
Watch carefully.
And then she lifted up her skirt. No, that's not what happened. Huh? What are you going to show me? I almost asked, but then I stopped. Suddenly she stretched her right hand out to the side. She inhaled slowly, then seemed to draw something out of the air. Huh? See, it's a self-insert. Perfect. As I sat there, astonished, she pulled something impossible out of empty air. It was warped, yet elegant. Ugly, yet fascinating. It was inorganic and organic at the same time. It was as if it contained every shape in the world. It was a sword? Wasn't this the same thing Kunosato had at her apartment? The shape was different, but it had the same terrible feeling to it. But Arimura had just pulled it out of thin air. How did you do that? Arimura looked unhappy as she saw my shock.
So you can see it. Huh? What's she talking about, Taka?
What do you mean a sword? You two can't see it? Sirika and Ito both shook their heads. That's impossible. It was huge. How could they not see it? I quickly looked around the room, but no one else, not the customers or the employees, was looking at the thing in Arimura's hands. No, they couldn't see it.
That settles it.
What do you mean?
What Arimura is holding can prove that someone is a psychic. It's called a D-sword.
A D sword? I'd heard her use that word before. I didn't realize that she was talking about this, though.
Only psychics can see D-swords in that state. In other words, if you can see it, it's beyond any reasonable doubt that you're a psychic.
Kunosato's cold voice dropped even lower than usual. But I've never used any kind of power like that.
But it's true.
I couldn't believe it. So much was going through my head that I couldn't think. I looked over at the D sword again. Arimura fiddled with it and snorted.
Well, since we're both gigalomaniacs, let's get along, I guess.
Gigalomaniacs. I remembered Kunosato using that word before, too.
That's what we call psychics. Gigalomaniacs.
It doesn't matter what you call them. I still can't believe it. My psychokinesis, you called it? That's unscientific.
Yeah, psychokinesis is simply the word I use to make it easier for you to visualize. There's actually a more scientific concept that exists.
Scientific? I looked at Arimura's sword skeptically. Scientific? That?
Oh, I think you're wasting your time, Kunosato. Even if you explained it, he wouldn't understand a word. By the way, neither did I when she explained it to me.
Don't think I'm like you. I'm actually.
Right, right.
Damn it, she was pissing me off.
You don't need to understand it. What you do need to understand is this. Don't use your gigalomaniac power like you're in a cartoon. It's not that simple and it's not pleasant.
A cartoon is a phrase primarily used to refer to TV animations that are shown in Europe and America. Cartoons consist mostly of simple good versus evil stories using characters from American comics, as well as humor programs targeted for younger audiences. In Japan, you watch cartoons on a dedicated paid cable TV channel. What's different?
The ability of a gigalomaniac is, put simply, the ability to change their delusions into reality.
Change their delusions into reality? Oh shit. We can do some fucked up shit then. Oh god. Change their delusions into reality? What was she talking about? That wasn't scientific at all.
Have you ever heard of the Dirac Sea? Well, of course you haven't.
The Dirac Sea? Siddika started to fidget on the sofa. She probably couldn't follow what we were talking about at all, but she could tell that I was nervous. That's a concept from quantum mechanics, isn't it?
Oh, I'm surprised. I didn't expect a mere high school boy to know that.
For some reason, a lot of people on the Japanese internet loved relativity theory and quantum mechanics. Schrodinger's cat, for example, had been discussed so many times by now that it was considered an embarrassment to even bring it up. Yeah, I would assume that, yeah, cartoon would have been in katakana. So I knew a little. It's defined as a vacuum filled with negative energy, right? That vacuum is called a Dirac Sea.
That's right. The Dirac Sea is a world filled with negative energy.
Kunosato looked at Arimura's hands as she held the D sword. And then Arimura smiled a little wickedly.
And this, what's it see? You use it in the sword to make your delusions reality. That's called a real boot, apparently.
A real boot.
The D swords are shaped like weapons, but that's not all they are. They are terminals that let you affect the Dirac Sea and function as a pipe between it and reality. By using these terminals, gigalomaniacs can draw out more negative energy than should be able to exist in reality. Then, in accordance with Hole theory, pairs of particles and antiparticles are created. They could become errors which affect the dead spots of others' brains.
Dead spots of the brain? Dead spots of the brain?
By dead spots, I refer to the blind spots in the visual area of the human brain. Affecting these areas means transmitting your own delusions into them so that the target sees your delusion. And the target experiences that delusion as a completely real phenomenon.
But, but that's just a hallucination, isn't it? It's no different than hypnosis. Yeah, so it's magic. Got it.
Hypnosis, really? Then what if every single person around you recognizes that delusion as reality?
Every single person?
That's right. And what if by everyone I meant every single person in Shibuya? Or what if that spread to everyone in Tokyo, and then everyone in Japan, and then everyone in the world? Who would tell you that it wasn't real?
Th- that's.
At that point, your delusion is neither fiction nor a hallucination. It becomes reality. That's why we call it real booting.
But that's impossible. There's no way you could alter reality like that. I rubbed my head with my fingers trying to make some sense out of all of this. Let's say that hypothetically, and just hypothetically, mind you, I was one of these gigalomaniacs. It's impossible for a delusion to affect the real world like opening a locked door.
All of the researchers, including us, thought the same thing at first, but we were overly optimistic.
What?
The delusions of the gigalomaniacs and the shared reality they create are capable of altering the physical world itself. That's what makes them so dangerous.
I looked at Arimoto's sword, then back at Kunosato. Arimoto was still smiling as she held the sword in front of me. I couldn't tell if the light it gave off was holy or evil, but for a moment it was so beautiful that I shivered. I think this is, I mean, it's not a great place to stop, but I think it's the only place we're gonna get. What the fuck have we learned? We have special powers. Shit got weird. Shit got real. Yeah, I like, don't get me wrong, I love this stuff where like it's fantasy, but it is like sort of scientific. Like I know absolutely nothing of quantum mechanics, so they could tell me literally anything and I'd be like, yeah, okay. If it's not Schrodinger's cat, my understanding is really iffy. But yeah, this is getting crazy. I don't know how many chapters we have, but someone is using this to commit murder? Like, shit, there is so much here. Okay. So next stream is I might do a stream. God damn it. I might do a stream tomorrow. Just because I'm really curious about where this is going, because I haven't played this, so I don't know where it's going. So maybe stream tomorrow, otherwise stream on Sunday, normal time, all of that. Check on Twitter to see if we're streaming tomorrow. I don't have anything else, I think. I know Mana's got a performance coming up, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, I think that's all I've got. Thanks for hanging out tonight, all. I would love to hear your crazy wild theories next stream, because I've got a couple as my brain just keeps spiraling out of control. And have a good night. Hopefully you can sleep after that. So have a good night. All. Thanks. Bye.